I'm Phil Constantine. On this episode of Travels with Phil, we're going to Buckskin Gulch and Wire Pass Slot Canyons. I'm in San Diego. Let's zoom across the country over to southern Utah, northern Arizona. You can see the area we're talking about there. And Buckskin Gulch runs for 20.6 miles. Some people believe it's the longest slot canyon in the world. Some places the walls are over 400 feet high and just a few feet wide, thus the definition of a slot canyon. So let me show you where it's located here. It's about halfway between Kanab, Utah, and Page, Arizona. And to get there, you travel 8.5 miles down House Rock Valley Road. Now, this is all dirt road, and it can become a bit of a problem if there's been any rain in the area for any length of time. No services out there. And occasionally flash floods come across, and this is me in 2017 driving across Buckskin Crossing there. And that actually wasn't too bad. It can get much worse through there. This is the spot you come to where you can park. This is the Wire Pass Trail. You come in, you pay your fee. Now, you may have to do that online. The rules change all the time. But you can see that when I was there, paying my fee and signing in so they know where you're at. Well, as you start walking out on the trail, some folks say, well, it doesn't look like much of a slot canyon. It's not that far from the wave, by the way. Well, as you keep walking along the trail, it's wide open, and then all of a sudden, after about maybe 3/4 of a mile, the walls start to rise up, and then you come into the slot canyons. Now, in some spots, it's maybe only 2 feet wide. Some places, it's maybe 50, 60 feet wide. But for a long, long stretch, you will see these narrow, winding pathways where the water has just burned down through the rock. It has just eroded it completely. Now, there's a few spots in the early sections where you may have to climb down, but usually not too bad, as you can see these folks getting through without any significant problems. And some places the ground is fairly flat. Other places it's rocky, sandy, muddy, all kinds of combinations out there. But as you can see, fairly narrow. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind here, weather within the surrounding 50 miles is important, because if it rains somewhere else, the water can flood all the way down here. And in fact, the waters may get over 50 to 100 feet deep during one of these flash floods. That's why you see these logs jammed in the parts of the canyon wall. Now, there can be standing pools of water. Some can be only a foot deep, some neck high. They have one called the cesspool, which can be over 100 feet long and just stinks to high heaven, thus the name. And there's all kinds of obstacles that may require ropes in the later half of the canyon itself. But you can see here a perfect example of how one of these spots is just very, very narrow. And in this spot, the walls are probably 75 to 100 feet high. Again, as I said earlier, sometimes the floor is sandy. Sometimes it's nothing but rocks. And this changes all the time because of the flooding that comes through here. After about 1.75 miles, the Wire Pass Trail joins in with the Buckskin Gulch. And you can see here fairly tall cliff walls, and this is an overhead view of the confluence of the two stretches there. Now, you can come in through Buckskin Gulch, but most people find the trail entrance from Wire Pass to be much easier. You get to the slot canyons much quicker. But in this confluence, you see petroglyphs on the walls, and there are several different spots along the canyons where you can see these, but this is one where it's very easy to find. You don't have to really look for them too hard, and interesting ones that are there. I've been here twice, and I really, really enjoyed it. Now you're looking back toward the canyon we just came down, but as you continue on, the trail starts to get more difficult as you go further along the creek, or along the canyon, I guess you should say, going downhill, downstream if it was flowing at least. And you can see here, very, very narrow in some spots. The light doesn't always reach the floor. Some of the spots out there, it's just very dark. In other places, you come around a corner and all of a sudden you're in open light. And that's one of the interesting places about this, and fascinating, is the changing geography you find yourself, the changing landscape. Even in a narrow slot canyon, you'll see differences as you come around another curve. You see a little bit of standing water here in this picture here as you move along. And here's another spot not that far away where it's fairly flat and sandy in most of the spots. So it's just a fascinating, fascinating place. Again, I've been there twice, once in 2009 and once in 2017. And it is just, I'm fascinated by it. You can see the markings on the sides of the walls. There's all these horizontal grooves. Well, that's because of all the material being washed down this canyon when the floods happen. And estimates 8 a year. Now look up ahead. You can see something stuck up there in the canyon walls right in front of you there. Just think about that. How are you going to get out of a canyon where the water's 20 feet high and it's only 3 or 4 feet wide? That's why you have to pay very close attention to what the weather's going to be like in the surrounding area, and particularly north and northwest of where you are, because rain 50 miles away in the space of a couple hours could reach here and you may be having totally sunny skies. So it is dangerous, but if you plan it correctly, it can be just extremely rewarding. So I've enjoyed it. I think you might enjoy it. A couple of my friends here, when we went hiking up there, really found it a great place to be. Buckskin Gulch and Wire Pass Trail into the Paria River area. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right-hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.